Good evening to all of you. So, today we'll start with the aphorism. I think we have done till 153 and we'll start with aphorism 154. So, today we'll talk about the homeopathic aggravation, that how it happens. Few aphorisms we will do it today, few we will do in the next part. Regarding the homeopathic aggravation, there are many things which are there, that how much the aggravation should be, how long does it go. So we will talk about those few things also, that how to understand that this is a homeopathic aggravation. This is not something that the disease is getting aggravated itself. So we will talk about that also today. Because once you see a slight aggravation, especially in the chronic cases, a slight homeopathic aggravation, it gives you confidence very that the medicine is good, the medicine is right, it is working as it should be. In some cases you don't get aggravation, or directly the amelioration starts. There is always a question mark there, that okay, if it has started directly with the amelioration, then maybe. But those cases also happen, although rare, although very few, where the dose is perfect, the potency is perfect, patient is not very overly sensitive, so that slight aggravation is not noticed by the patient also, so he does not report you back about that thing. So those kind of cases are also there, those kind of experiences are also there. But yes, if it is there, even Dr. Kent writes that, if there is slight aggravation, the homeopath gets a confidence that the medicine is good, medicine is right. So we'll talk about those things also. So let's start with the aphorism 154. ऋषभ, हो रही है स्क्रीन शेयर?
नो सर, मैं दोबारा करता हूँ 1 मिनट। यस सर, अब हो रही है।
Okay. So aphorism 154. If the if the antitype constructed from the list of symptoms of the most suitable medicine contain those peculiar, uncommon, singular, and distinguishing symptoms which are to be met with in the disease to be cured in the greatest number in the greatest similarity. Now there is this process. Many times now it is less that I get this question, but in the initial times when I would go somewhere like to some other countries, like I went to USA or Brazil or Thailand also, I would meet some doctors. There was this common question, with me. They would ask that you don't take much symptoms, like you don't take much rubrics in the case. When you're repertorizing, when you're analyzing, you don't take much of the symptoms. So that answer is in these aphorisms 154. Even next there will come an aphorism which will clarify this thing, but there is also this thing, this aphorism, that if the antitype constructed from the list of symptoms of the most suitable medicine contain those peculiar, uncommon, singular, and distinguishing characteristic symptoms. So we have made a list of symptoms. First we have taken the totality of the symptoms. We have talked about it. We have done a case taking, which was very exploratory. We have asked about everything, and we have collected all the data. Now from this data, from this case, we have to see which symptoms are very peculiar, uncommon. They're very singular and distinguishing. So those symptoms are called characteristic symptoms. And now I have to pick characteristic symptoms out of the case, out of the whole totality, whole data. I have to see which symptoms are uncommon, they are distinguishing, they are very peculiar, very rare. I have to collect all those symptoms which are to be met with in the disease to be cured in the greatest number and in the greatest similarity. So I have to find an antitype. Antitype means any constitutional simillimum or acute simillimum. The simillimum, the medicine which is similar to my case, and it should be similar to these characteristic symptoms of the case. Again, if the antitype constructed from the list of symptoms of the most suitable medicine contain these peculiar, uncommon, singular, and distinguishing characteristic symptoms, which are to be met in the disease to be cured in the greatest number and in the greatest similarity. So all the characteristics, almost all the characteristics are covered under this, and it is completely similar or greatly similar or maximum similarity has been obtained in this manner. This medicine is the most appropriate homeopathic specific remedy for this morbid state. That remedy will be a homeopathic remedy, a homeopathic specific remedy for this morbid state, for this condition in this case. So many times we are just taking the symptoms which are very common, which are very undistinguished, very, you see those cases, those kind of symptoms. If we, in almost all the cases, for example, anxiety about health. Um, I have read someone's book, some homeopath's book. In almost all the cases, he takes this rubric. Because if someone comes and asks that, doctor, will I get better? He will take the anxiety about health. That he has asked me a question. But that is a very common thing. When a patient comes to a physician, he wants to ask that how many days it is going to take. Will I get better? What will get better? How will I come to know that the medicine is right? These are very commonly asked questions. A patient is coming to the doctor with his sickness, so he is worried about sickness. There is nothing uncommon about it. But now there came a patient a few days back. I was discussing the case today with some of my students. So there came a case a few days back, a lady around 57, 58 years old lady. She was having this hemangioma, a big hemangioma in the spine, over the spine region, which was pressing the spine. And because of that, she was getting weakness in the legs. Like, there was this symptom that when she picks up her foot and places it, in her mind she has done it, but actually it has not happened. Actually, it has not happened. The nervous system did not comprehend that information, did not got that information, but in her mind she has taken the step. So she had developed this tendency for misstep, where she will get imbalanced, and then she will know that I have not you know taken the step. So she came, she gave first for an hour, she gave this case to one of my assistant doctors. Then she was with me for 15-20 minutes, and we talked with her. I was taking her case, and during the whole time, during the whole time, and I think she has not taken homeopathy for this thing before also. She was referred by someone and she came. During the whole case taking with one of my assistant doctors or me also, she didn't ask these questions. That, what do you think? Have you seen these kind of cases getting better? She never asked. She never asked what is the prognosis of my disease, like what will happen. Will I become better or will I not become better? My symptoms, they will get better or not? Because she has come for medicine, so she didn't ask it anything. So that part is uncommon. That is something which is peculiar, because everyone, even a patient who is coming with cough and cold, like just now I got a case before starting the lecture, and a girl, she's suffering from cough and cold, and she's asking that how long will it take the medicine to that I get better. Because the patient has come to become better, they have come to you so that you can give some medicine and they can get better. But she was not interested in asking that thing. So that is something which is peculiar. That is something which I will take hold of. that okay, my medicine should match this behavior or this part of the. Otherwise, she's very intelligent. She's anxious about many other things. Like she's in her office work, she's anxious about many things which is happening. It is not that she is not known to anxiety, but in this particular case, we didn't see any. She came to take homeopathy because the doctors, the surgeons, they advised that this cannot be operated. So she opted for some other medicine. But when you go from one system of the medicine to the other, you are again there is more apprehension whether this thing will work for me or not. So the whole case, the disease also, because it is not a small disease, and she came alone. She didn't accompanied any of her. There was no family member, no friend. She came alone, even in this condition, from a different city, which is around 40 kilometers from my place. So she came alone. She didn't came with anybody, and she had a very good, strong will. She was intelligent. She was telling everything very good. There was no. I would not. She was an extrovert lady, so she was not timid. Also, she was not indifferent to her health. Also, she was not someone who has a dull intellect that this question would not occur to them. So that becomes very strange thing. That why she did not ask about it. So these kind of characteristics we have to get hold of in the cases. The disease, if it be not one of a very long standing, will generally be removed and extinguished by the first dose of it without any considerable disturbance. So the diseases of not very long standing, uh, that will be removed or extinguished in the very first dose which you will give to the patient. You will not even, especially acutes or just the diseases which are just started. Now, like I always tell you that, okay, I have read about this aphorism that only one dose that will cure the disease of a very beginning of not very long standing, and without any considerable disturbance, without any this thing. If now this thing with the one dose or the first dose, sometimes you have a question that only one single dose, very small, 2 3 globules, will they do the thing. But then when you see the things happening in front of you, you try this thing, and then you see the things happening. Whenever I read this aphorism, I remember a lady very many years back, like might be 10 years back, when this lady came, and she was married for 1.5 year. She was trying to um, have a baby, but it was not working. So finally, they went to a doctor, and this doctor, he wrote some tests for thyroid because she was gaining weight also from past 3 or 4 months, and she was having some other symptoms, this dryness of skin. So he said, okay, get your this thing checked. So when the test came, the TSH, it was around 500, the units. Because usually when you see, it is around, okay, if it is increased 15 20 30, okay, within that range. But there it was 500. That when she went to the doctor with the report, he saw and he threw the report on the table. This was how she explained that he threw the table. That, what is this? He said that, I don't think that it is right. It was a report of his own hospital, his hospital. He had a private hospital, the doctor, and the reports were carried in the hospital. He said that, I don't believe this report. I will refer to you to some other laboratory. Get it checked from here. So he referred, and the same report came, and he was like, "Oh, we cannot. I don't know what to do with this thing. I have never had a. You just start with this Thyronorm, and then we will think about what we can do." So he gave her around 200 or 250 this mg of micrograms of Thyronorm, thyroxine, and she told her to come after 1 week. I will think about. Now this lady, her mother was treated by me. She already. So the mother, when she talked with the mother, the mother said that, don't do anything, just go to him. So she came, and I was also shocked to see that I've never seen this kind of a report. Although there were no, like the pathological symptoms or something like this. No, she was just having overweight and she was not able to conceive. There were no symptoms like, but still, your mind, there is some anxiety and this thing. And, but the things, the philosophy is clear that I have to see the symptoms. So I said, okay, let's see what we can do. So we took the case, everything, and we went on. We gave her the remedy. We gave her pulsatilla at that time because the whole constitution, the whole things, it matched. So she took pulsatilla. I gave her medicine and then placebo also. And I told her to come back after 1 month and get the test done after 1 month. We'll see what happens. So she didn't came. She didn't came after 1 month. But I had this thing, this curiosity was there in the mind that, what would happen? Let's see. So 2 months she didn't came. I thought that she might have started some treatment somewhere. Then after 2 or 3 months, her mother came for her medicine, the mother's medicine, and okay, I took the follow up, and then I was hesitatingly asked her that, "Oh, your daughter came at that time. So how is she?" She said, She's okay. You gave her the medicine after within 20 days or 25 days she conceived, she got pregnant." I said, "What?" She said, "Yes, she got pregnant with that. So we thought that because of the pregnancy, now you have to take some this supplement, some folic acid and this thing, and you don't, and you tell us that not to take any medicine with this medicine." So we stopped the homeopathic medicine and we started taking the folic acid and the iron supplements and this thing. So we said that when she will get better, that pregnancy will be this thing, she will have a baby, then she will continue the treatment. So I said, but how is the thyroid? Like, did you got TSH checked? She said that she recently, her doctor, the gynecologist, said that you have to get the TSH done. It is normal. I said, normal? He said, yes, but you didn't told, like I asked that, you didn't told that she had this TSH around 400 and 500. She said that she told the gynecologist, but gynecologist said that it might be a, wrong report. The test was not done properly. Because now I know I would have also believed it for the first time, but because it was done from two different labs, without any this thing, so it was very, you have to, okay, if it is done from two labs on the same day, then it has to be that thing. But like I told you that if it is of not very long standing, even the conception and this thing, with one dose of pulsatilla, the first dose of the pulsatilla, everything was resolved. There was no other because the other medicines were not going on. That is the biggest criteria, because again in the next aphorisms, Dr. Hahnemann will talk about the same thing. So those situations, the natural disease, there is no other medicinal disease present along with the natural disease. So the symptoms, they go so fast, and this case, it always comes to my mind that so quickly everything resolved, everything went away, vanished. So aphorism 155, I say without any considerable difference, disturbance. Like he used this word here in the aphorism 154, he uses without any considerable disturbance. The disease will be extinguished without creating any disturbance. So now about that, Dr. Hahnemann is saying, I say without any considerable disturbance. For in the employment of this most appropriate homeopathic remedy, it is only the symptoms of the medicine that correspond to the symptoms of the disease that are called into play. The former occupying the place of the later, weaker, in the organism and thereby annihilating them by overpowering them. But the other symptoms of the homeopathic medicine, which are often numerous, being in no way applicable to the case of disease in question, are not called into the play at all. So he's saying only when you are giving, for example, you are giving sulfur for few symptoms of sulfur. Now sulfur has vast number of symptoms. Sulfur has the ability to produce vast number of symptoms, which we have seen in provings. So many symptoms. Now you see in a case that there are only few symptoms. Among those vast symptoms, there are only few symptoms. So here he is trying to explain that when you will give the sulfur to the patient who is similimum to sulfur, only it will only impress or it will only remove those symptoms in this case which are present. Because from the proving, now we are coming from the proving to applying the medicine. So from the proving, there is this thing in the mind that whenever I give medicine, sulfur will bring out all its symptoms, you know. So he's trying to explain that no, it is not that all the symptoms will come once you give the medicine, because of the minuteness of the dose, because of the smallness of the dose, and because you are not repeating it again and again. And here, there we see there is a way that you have to repeat by increasing dose in the prover, and then it comes a point when the symptoms start coming, then you have to stop it. So here in the patient, we are not repeating it. We are just giving one single dose, very small, minute of dose. There we can have given a little bit more so that the symptoms could come easily. But here we are giving very minute amount of doses, very small. So all the symptoms will not come in these cases when we are giving it to the sick. Only those symptoms come into play. He used the word comes into play, which are already similimum and present in the patient. So the patient growing hourly better feels almost nothing of them. So you will see in acute cases, especially the every hour the patient is getting better and he is not having any kind of these symptoms, because the excessively minute dose requisite for homeopathic use is much too weak to produce the other symptoms of the medicines. So because of this excessively minuteness of the dose is not that strong that it will produce all the other symptoms that are not homeopathic to the case in those parts of the body that are free from the disease, and consequently can allow only the homeopathic symptoms to act on the parts of the organism that are already most irritated and excited by the similar symptoms. So it will only work on those symptoms which are already present, only on those parts which are diseased. It will not act on those parts which are not diseased because of that weakness of the dose, thus changing the morbid affection of the vital force into a similar but stronger medicinal disease whereby the original malady is extinguished. So this is how it basically acts in a diseased state, the medicine. So it will replace the older natural disease, constitute itself on the patient for a small time, and then the vital force will take care of the, because of the minuteness of the dose, the this effect of the dose or the medicine, it also vanishes away, and this is how the disease is completely extinguished in this case. So this is again another reason that when we are giving it to patient, the larger dose, why it should not be given, first of all because it can produce many symptoms in some sensitive patients. Repetition of dose, why it should not be done, although there are separate paragraphs for it which will come, the aphorism will come. But he has started giving us an idea about those things. He has started giving us some links into what we should do and what we should not do. There is, however, almost no homeopathic medicine, be it ever so suitably chosen, that, especially if it should be given in an insufficiently minute dose, will not produce in very irritable and sensitive patients at least one trifling unusual disturbance, some slight new symptom whilst its action lasts. So he's saying that, but when it comes to the patients who are very sensitive, very irritable in their physical and dynamic part, however carefully the medicine is chosen, how much minute the dose is, there are sometimes that one or two trifling or unusual disturbance or some new symptoms they come up because of the sensitiveness of the patient. Although I have taken into this view that the dose was very minute, although I know that the medicine is very similar, but then again in some cases one or two slight new symptoms they will come. Recently it has come. I had many times this experience, but recently I had, so I will share that thing. A lady came with a very she had a lean constitution. She had this some problem about the eruptions in this part of the face, and very sensitive, very emotional lady. And I took the whole case. She was into the profession of teaching, and the remedy which was indicated was ignitia. So I gave her ignitia, like very minute dose, only 1 or 2 globules of the medicine, because I knew that she's a very sensitive person. So I gave her medicine. Next day she called me, the second day. Doctor, I am having this very strong hiccups. Hiccup. This was happening. And it suddenly started. I am in the school and it suddenly started. And I have never had this hiccups. She said that I have heard about it, but this is the first time I am feeling it. That I have seen my some people having the like this, but I never had. And it suddenly started. I was teaching, and it suddenly started, and I have to stop my class in between. And this thing came, and this is very. I'm very afraid. I'm very anxious why this is happening to me. So then it struck to me that okay, this is the that part of sensitivity of the patient, that some symptom of ignitia has come. So I told her to wait, and because I have given her SL the placebo, so I told her to take 1 or 2 doses of that medicine in the interval of 15 or 20 minutes, because I also knew that this symptom will pass away very soon. It is not going to take much longer. So after that she didn't call me, and I had given her medicine for, I told her to come after 1 month. So she came recently. In between she called also a few days back also with some other problem, and she had this cold at that time, and I asked her about this thing, that how are the hiccups now. She said that it just remained for 10 minutes at that time when I took the second dose of this. She said the medicine, but I have given her the placebo. She said that when I took the second dose of the medicine, it vanished, it subsided, it never came back again. So this thing can happen also. Although medicine is very suitably chosen and she's getting better, I was telling that now the follow up came that she's much better. Her everything is much better. But in very some few hours after giving the medicine, or in 1 or 2 days, some symptoms might come up which basically are of the homeopathic aggravation, but they belong to the medicine. That is not some new disease. That is what Dr. Hahnemann will explain. For it is next to impossible that medicine and disease should cover one another symptomatically as exactly as two triangles with equal sides and equal angles. Because he is saying that it is impossible that all the symptoms of the medicine and all the symptoms of the patient, they will be always there and they will match exactly. It never happens. Most of the characteristic symptoms should match in a similar remedy. So they never match each other like two triangles with he's giving an analogy, but they never cover each other with like a two triangles with equal sides and equal angles. So there is somewhat, and something is there different, something in the medicine is different. This is always going to be there. But this, in ordinary circumstances, unimportant difference. He's saying that it is an unimportant difference. We don't need to think about it in the ordinary circumstances. Will be easily done away with the with by the potential activity of the living organism. He's saying that this is very small thing, this new symptom coming out, and it will easily be taken away by the energy, by the vital force of the living organism, and is not perceptible by patients not excessively delicate. Even the patients who are not excessively delicate, who are not very sensitive, these kind of symptoms, they come and go, and the patient do not even realize that thing. They don't even report about that thing. The restoration goes forward, notwithstanding, to the goal of perfect recovery. Even with this kind of something coming up, the patient will keep getting healthy. They will reach the perfect recovery, if it be not prevented by the action of heterogeneous medicinal influences. Like I told you, Dr. Hahnemann will talk about this thing, that in case of that this hypothyroidism, the lady who could not conceive, the major influence was that she was not under any kind of medicinal influence, because that is a very big obstacle to recovery and cure. So there was no heterogeneous medicinal influences upon the patient. By errors of regimen, there were no errors or nothing wrong was done in the routine, in the food, in the lifestyle, or by the excitement of the patients. There were no excitements, no this thing, if it is not there any kind of excitements, so the patient will recover to perfect recovery, to perfect health, when the medicine is given which is right. Even though if some one or two trivial symptoms come up, new symptoms come up because of the homeopathic medicine, but even then those symptoms will go away also, and the patient will go to the recovery. But though it is certain that a homeopathically selected remedy does, by reason of its appropriateness and minuteness of the dose, gently remove and annihilate the acute disease analogous to it, without manifesting its other unhomeopathic symptoms, that is to say, without the production of new serious disturbances, yet it usually immediately after ingestion, for the first hour or for a few hours, causes a kind of slight aggravation where the dose has been somewhat too large, however, for a considerable number of hours, which has so much resemblance to the original disease that it seems to the patient to be an aggravation of his own disease. So he's saying that although the patient, the medicine, very well selected remedy, homeopathically selected remedy, because of the appropriateness, because it is the right remedy, and the medicine is also minute, the dose is also minute, it will remove and annihilate the acute diseases. All the acute diseases it will remove. But in the first hour or some, many times for few minutes after giving the medicine, there is slight aggravation. It has to be slight. It should not be more than slight. If your medicine is right, but the dose is too large, like in the brackets he has given, that the dose has been somewhat too large, this aggravation will not be slight. It will be for considerable number of hours. And if it is an acute emergency, then it becomes a very big problem, because the patient does not have the that kind of energy to you know uh, have this kind of aggravation for many hours, which is so much resemblance to the original disease. Okay, so only those symptoms which are there already there, for example in acute, if there is the symptom of fever, there is symptom of weakness, there is symptom of dullness, there is some stupor going on, when you give the remedy, right remedy in a very minute dose, the patient's attendants, they many times they say that, doctor, after the medicine I think the things are decreasing, oh sorry, increasing slightly. There's slight increase in the things, the stupor has increased, the fever is increased, but there is a slight difference. But sometimes when the dose is unique, many times it happens, but this kind of change, it is not seen if the person or the observer is not very sharp, like the patient or the patient's attendants, if they are not very sharp, this kind of homeopathic aggravation, it's sometimes they passes in front of them and they don't know about it. But it is in reality nothing more than an extremely similar medicinal disease, somewhat exceeding in strength the original affection. So because we have given the medicine, the same similar disease producing medicine, but because it is slightly strong in strength, there will be slight aggravation of the symptoms because it is strong. This just shows you that your medicine is stronger than the natural disease. So now I was going to add something to this thing, that when you have to, when we can see that whether it is the aggravation of disease or aggravation of symptoms, these are two different things. when the disease is getting, for example, you have given some medicine and the disease is getting aggravated, the natural disease is getting aggravated. In that thing, basically, the patient himself, his all the things, especially his approach, especially his attitude, especially his energy, they go bad. The energy will decrease more. The patient will be more, you can say, lack of spirits will be there. He will be less vigorous. So there we can see, no, that no, there is this is the aggravation of disease. But when it is a homeopathic aggravation, the symptoms are aggravated. Very strangely, you will see that the patient seems better. The symptoms are aggravated, the headache is increased. I have given a case of a man with headache also, who came to me. He said, Doctor, he came to me with this migraine problem. He said that my symptoms are aggravated. The migraine is strong. It is remaining, it is giving me more pain. But somehow I am feeling good. I am feeling that I'm okay. I said, how come like you have pain? He said, I don't know. It is a very strange thing. Like always with the pain, I am in pain. My head is in pain and I am in pain. But right now my head is in pain, but I am feeling more okay that no, I will become better. So and then he went on to becoming this the migraine. It was gone. So this there is a difference. This you will see the change in the energy of the patient, the way or the attitude, even in the acute cases. I simply in the acute cases I ask the patient that how are you? How are you feeling? If they say better, even the symptoms are not better, if they say better, then it is good. If they say that then I'm not better and he is not also looking better, then the medicine is wrong. Because the first thing the patient will start telling you is that I'm feeling better. Although the symptoms being there, within few minutes, they will start saying that I am better. This slight homeopathic aggravation during the first hours, a very good prognostic that the acute disease will most probably yield to the first dose. So it is a very good prognostic stage, the slight homeopathic aggravation, but it has to be very slight. Is quite as it ought to be, as the medicinal disease must naturally be somewhat stronger than the malady to be cured if it is to overpower and extinguish the later. So we come to know that with the first dose, now the disease will yield, although it was a very strong disease. But we know that my medicine is stronger because of this slight homeopathic aggravation, that my disease is stronger than the natural disease. So it will annihilate, it will completely cure the natural disease. Just as a natural disease can remove and annihilate another one similar to it only when it is stronger than the later. So this is the application of that therapeutic law of cure which we read in the initial aphorisms of the Organon. So this is that practical application of it, that how we know that now my medicinal disease is stronger by this slight homeopathic aggravation. So many always tell the patient that after the dose, even if you are having, the symptom they are increasing or this thing, let me know if they are decreasing or increasing after the dose. Let me know about it. Whenever you come or in the acute disease, just let me know after an hour or 2 hours how it is. So from there you can get an idea that whether your medicine has acted and the medicine is right and it is stronger than the natural disease. The smaller the dose of the homeopathic remedy is, so much the slighter and shorter is the apparent increase of the disease during the first hours. So again, very clear this thing, that the more smaller the dose is, the more shorter and slighter will be the aggravation in the first hours of the disease. So now, how much smaller the disease, whether there is some part of the dose, like is there any quantity, like if I go smaller, and then comes a point that it becomes weaker than the natural disease? Is that it? Is there something like this? that the homeopathic dose becomes so small that it becomes weaker than the disease, and even though being the right, it will not work. So this question also comes in the mind, that how small the dose is. So we'll try to discuss it next time, because the answer is in the next aphorisms, that when is the dose too small that it will not act. Although there is a hint that, this never happens. This never happens, that the dose can be so small that it can be weaker than the natural disease, although being right. But we'll talk in detail why it happens. Well, that the dose can, if we are talking about the smallness or the minuteness of the dose, then there has to come a level, because in our material mind, the dose is a material part. When you keep decreasing it, then there has to come a point when it is not sufficient enough to overpower the disease, because that is with the other systems of the medicine. For example, if you are giving some metformin in 500 mg to a patient of this diabetic patient, and he's going better, and if you decrease the dose, like you come down to 250, you come down to metformin 100, then the disease will increase. It will not be stronger than the disease which is present there. So that material notion is there in mind, and this question always comes, that how small, like this is the point and we should not go below this. So how small? So we will talk about it in the next uh, lecture, when we will talk about in the next week. So again, if there are any questions, you can, I think there is something in the chat, let me see. Antitype. What is antitype? Okay. Antitype is basically constitutional homeopathic medicine. So Dr. Hahnemann has used that word antitype for it. So any other questions? If there are, you can send the question and we can talk about those questions. We can do this. And always, like I always say, that please go back and give a reading to the, because we are not doing many aphorisms. We are just doing 4 aphorisms. If the aphorisms are small, it may go to 6 or 7, but if they're large, we'll, so during the rest of the 6 days, just read one aphorism one day. And because once you get an idea about what is written to it, the link will settle down. The aphorisms are like I told you, that they're like stairs. We have to go every stair up, and we have to understand it, so that we can go to next stair. We cannot skip the stairs, we cannot jump to the last stair. So we have to go, place our foot on each stair, so that we can climb effectively. So similarly with the aphorisms, every aphorism is a stair, and we have to understand that stair, so that we can understand the next part. So they are all linked. They are all linked with each other. So we cannot. That is why Organon cannot be read or understood randomly. Like randomly, some aphorism comes up, and I tell you, and this thing, without the, that what is the concept going on? What is the context behind this aphorism? It has to be attached with the other things. So during the whole week, just had just, because we have to understand. So just read one aphorism, try to understand the meaning, and if there is something which, the questions they come up, then we can discuss those questions, because the questions will also come up when you give it a reading. Then there will be some question, that why not, why this, why that. So many times when the questions are not there, I think either I am telling it very eloquently or beautifully, or I am not, sometimes these things come, that, okay, I am not able to take the message. So whatever. But the meaning is that, that just you yourself also go and give it a reading, the Organon. That way it will come more, it will be more understandable, and you will go more deep into the understanding of the Organon. So with that, I will take your leave. Thank you and have a very good night. Thank you.